Hey, this is Steve Halleck of TikToking. As always, check me out at Steve Halleck on Instagram and TikToking.com. And today I want to show you a wild watch. This is the HYT H1 in black DLC titanium with the green fluid around the outside. And I will do my best to explain this thing without having a degree in fluid dynamics or whatever is needed for this. But it's a really cool watch, so let's go through it. Obviously, the main feature of this watch is the hour track, which is indicated by this fluid. So here's how I understand it. Basically, you've got a normal mechanical movement for the most part until you get to these pistons and bellows. And inside it, you have two different fluids. And so these fluids are, I don't know if they're proprietary, but they're some sort of special formulation. And the whole idea is you need two fluids that form the most firm meniscus. So the meniscus is actually the kind of layer or barrier between the two fluids. So if you think of oil and water not mixing, you have that space where the oil and the water mix or come up against each other, and that's the meniscus, that kind of the edge, basically. So these are two fluids chosen. They're even much less mixing than oil and water. They're like impossible to mix, and they're in this very tight capillary. So there's kind of no way for them to get around each other and mix. But when you see the clear is not it's not air. It's a clear fluid. So there's a clear fluid and there's a like neon yellow or green colored fluid. And those are what's in these two bellows. So let me show you when we change the time. You can change the time actually in both directions, which is cool. But the one thing that they tell you is you need to do it slowly, so as not to, obviously the fluid can't move all that quickly. Now, one thing I have noticed is that the minute track and the hours are not perfectly synced. So sometimes, you can see here it looks pretty good. Let's get down to like halfway and you can see, I would call that maybe a little bit less than halfway in the actual hour track, but it's pretty close. For all intents and purposes, it totally works. And you can tell time at a glance and kind of where you are in the hour from there. But you can see how that just moved the fluid down as I went down, and then we can go back up to 5 o'clock. Again, we'll do it slowly. And then what I want to do is I want to take us up to about 6 o'clock so we can watch what happens at 6. I never really paid a whole lot of attention to this watch. And so one of the things I always wondered was, well, what happens at 6 o'clock? Because you have all the way from here to here is covered. You can see you've got this, and that's kind of where the oil goes, or the fluids go into each other. And I never quite understood what happens there. And actually what happens is incredibly cool. The entire thing retrogrades back. So here you can see a perfect example where I'm at 1/4 the hour, and it's only a little bit past the hour marker here. But it always catches up by the end. So it's just not, it's not perfect, precise, but it's good enough. But let's see what happens here. And I'm going to take it to like 2 minutes before 6. I'm not sure if I can manually make it retrograde through 6. So I'm going to let it do it on its own, because I don't want to mess anything up. Okay, so Now we're here, and we can watch together what happens. I've noticed, again, it doesn't happen exactly at 6. Sometimes it happens at like 6:01 or something, but it's pretty damn close. In the meantime, let's go through the rest of it. This is actually a seconds hand that keeps moving there. You can see there's a red tip on one of those if you actually want to follow it across the 60 seconds. Otherwise, you can just see that the watch is running by that indication. And here you have a power reserve. There's 65 or 68 hours of power reserve, which is really helpful because obviously, it's probably not a watch that somebody's going to wear every day. Although it is, it's incredibly wearable, especially in this black DLC case. It actually makes for just a really cool sport watch, and it totally works as like a daily kind of knock around watch. But obviously it's kind of wild. So we're gonna get this show in a minute here. Again, DLC is probably the best coating. It's the toughest. It wears the best, and it's a lot stronger than a PVD. So for a black titanium watch that you're actually gonna like wear, you can't beat DLC. The Grubel that I reviewed a while ago and that I had and sold was also DLC. And especially if you've got a $500,000 watch, you don't want it getting all scratched up. So all right, so this is going to go at any second, and I'm just going to be quiet because you can actually hear. I don't know exactly what the mechanism is, but you can hear kind of a click, and then the whole thing starts retrograding back. Got fingerprints here on the crystal, sorry. While we're waiting, you can see the crystal is actually really cool. There it was. Boom. So it goes all the way back, and then it starts to slow down around here and kind of slowly gets itself all the way back into there. Now, as I was saying, the crystal is this kind of domed, stepped crystal, so it's actually quite a bit above the bezel here, and you can get a pretty good angle of the green hour marker, even from almost the full sides, which is cool. So you can see, again, it does start to slow down as it kind of backs itself into these chambers, and you can see how the bellows now have evened out. It was the one way higher than the other, and now they're getting to fairly close to even. They move fairly slowly. You can't see them super dramatically, but you can see the difference in their position when it's all done. So that's going to back itself in there. In the meantime, let's look at the back quickly. It's a pretty cool looking movement. I like the bridge on the balance wheel. The finishing is fairly nice. They've made it definitely very industrial with all these kind of cutouts, and it looks like a cross between a mechanical watch and a piece of sort of modern industrial equipment, which I think fits the overall ethos of the watch quite well. This one comes on a rubber strap. It's not my favorite. I've seen they have sort of a Kevlar-y or nylon-ish strap, and I'd probably switch it if I were going to keep this one for a while. But that's just my own personal preference. I don't love rubber straps. And they do make a bunch of different straps because they make this watch in a lot of different colors. And I'm pretty sure no matter the model or whatever, the straps are the same. So they do have a lot of different cool strap options. Even though it is this proprietary kind of integrated strap, they do have a lot of factory strap options, and I would probably change this one. Again, I just don't love rubber straps. But let me show it to you on the wrist. It's a big watch, but the black case really helps to make it not look crazy on the wrist, right? I've been wearing this one quite a bit since I got it in, and I find it to be quite comfortable. So you can see it's definitely big. The lugs go to the ends of my wrist, but because the strap is integrated and comes straight down, it doesn't go over the wrist like a sort of AP concept or something that usually is like a 1/4 inch over each side of my wrist. This one just kind of fills up the wrist, and you want it to be big anyway because you've got the the big thing around the outside, and kind of the bigger the better on this one. But it does fit well, and I think the black case really helps to chill it out on the wrist and to help you focus on the fluid and the tube, which is the coolest part of the watch anyway. So it really provides a lot of contrast with that neon fluid that goes around, and I like that about it. But you can see it's it's fairly tall, but it's not crazy, and the top part is the sapphire crystal anyway, so that kind of like disappears from your view. And I like the proportions quite a bit. The titanium case also makes it, it's definitely not a light watch, but it's not overly heavy, so it's actually quite nice to wear. But anyway, I guess that's it. This is the HYT H1, the fluid-filled watch that is a really, really cool, innovative take on a contemporary mechanical watch. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.